serious?
Alright, so today we are going to talk a little bit more about Google Stadia. Not that I really want to, but I have to talk about this. It's very interesting, and you guys know, at least most of you probably know, that we've talked a little bit about Google Stadia here on my channel, and I have not had good things to say about it at all, because I just don't believe in Google's vision here. I don't think it's going to succeed the way they're making it sound like it's going to. In a lot of cases, a lot of what Google is saying when it comes to Stadia sounds too good to be true. And if there's something that we know as people these days is that when things sound too good to be true, 9 times out of 10, they probably are. And when it comes to Google Stadia, I really don't feel any differently about it. I do not like the idea of a cloud-only future. I do not like this idea that Google has that their vision is this is how people are going to be playing games, and more specifically, it's going to be the only way people are playing games. I'm just really not a fan of that. I'm really not. But this article I came across, we really have to go over because it's almost laughable, I think. And I'm a little late to it. It's been out for I think about a week now, but I still wanted to take some time here to talk about it. And the title of the article reads, Stadia can deliver better games than local hardware, Google executive says. So let's get into it. Google is betting the farm on game streaming being the future of gaming. They have announced Stadia, their next-generation gaming platform, and they have emphatically stated multiple times that it will be streaming only, and there won't be any local hardware at all. Streaming has the potential to deliver far better games and possibilities for players and developers alike, according to Google's VP, Phil Harrison, who's leading their Stadia efforts. Harrison, a veteran of the games industry who has previously worked with PlayStation and Xbox, revealed in an interview with PC Games that streaming has the possibility to deliver games far beyond anything local hardware can on any level. When you have an almost uncapped amount of computation sitting in a data center that you can use to support your game design and ambition, whether it's in vastly superior multiplayer, whether it's in distributed physics, or massive simulation. There are things we can do inside a data center that you could never do inside a discrete standalone device, he said. We think that developers will get excited about some really rather mundane things that will actually have a huge impact on performance and scalability. If you want it, you've got it effectively. Petabytes of storage for your games locally. Very, very fast storage. So that means you could create a simulation or a database that is vastly more complex. If a developer can look at the resources that we can bring to bear on a game, they can go orders of magnitudes greater in terms of every player inside a world having a persistent memory that lasts over the entire span of the game. You could have tens of thousands of NPCs, all of whom have a complex relationship with each other and with the player, and it's persistent. That requires a huge amount of local database that you can't do in a discrete standalone machine. Unlike the rest of his marketing shtick, which I have been very skeptical of, this is the article writer, if I could speak today, writer, finishing the article here, he goes on to say, I actually have to agree with what he is saying here in a sense, in theory, knowing you don't have hardware limits, and that resources are scalable as and when you want can be liberating for a creator and an artist. It can deliver potentially far more interesting games. However, of course, streaming has its own pitfalls, such as something as basic as latency and input lag, which are limitations creators have to design around, so it's still a trade-off. So yeah, that's just one huge issue that the article writer here brings up, where what Phil Harrison is saying here, the idea that we can expect better games at some point from Stadia than what we're going to get with the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, and the Xbox consoles. Wow. I mean, I have to applaud Google and their ambition here, but is it just me, or does that almost sound laughable? Because it kind of does. Of course, in theory, it maybe is true, but it's not there yet, and it's probably not going to be there for a very long time. I mean, yeah, the idea that we can see game creators create worlds that are just so far beyond what we've seen created so far, sounds awesome, but it's not really going to happen like that. It's just not. I mean, I know that they're talking about like unlimited data, data centers and all this stuff, and I guess that sounds great, but I'm not really concerned about that. Like I do want to see games get better, obviously. I want to see developers and game creators be able to push the limits. Obviously, when it comes to the next generation consoles, that's one of the biggest things I think a lot of gamers are hoping to see is meaningful upgrades to the way developers are creating their games. So when we boot up a game on the PlayStation 5, it's showing things that really we haven't seen before in terms of, let's just stick with the open world theme because that's what a lot of games are these days. It's about open world and NPCs, like it was saying here. The idea that they can have, there's just so much data that everything can be interconnected, and it almost seems like real life. I don't think we'll be able to achieve that anytime soon with local hardware because it's true. It does require an insane amount of data to do something like that. But at the same time, it's like we're not going to see that jump. We're just not. We're not going to see a jump to that future within a year or two. It's just not ready. It's going to take a lot longer. And I know that Google has the capital to be able to do pretty much whatever they want. And they probably, for sure, I don't want to say probably, like we know for sure they have the resources at their disposal. But you can't, it's about the execution. And it's just about, pushing technology. How far and how fast can you push it right now? And when it comes to Google Stadia and this idea that I can expect games that are created on there to be like far better, I mean, who knows? Maybe it's true. Maybe, one thing I am interested in, and this is the only thing I'm interested in when it comes to Google Stadia, is the fact that they are creating their own studios, their first-party studios. I think they only have one right now, but I would assume they're probably going to try to create more where they're going to get some prominent game developers. I think Jade Raymond is heading up the first Google studio, first-party studio. I am going to be interested to see what type of games they want to create, because surely they must understand, and it seems like they do, that if you want anybody to even look at your platform, and take it seriously, you're going to have to provide content that brings people in. And that's just how it is for every platform, in my opinion. Regardless of what your end goal may be and what your intentions may be, sure, Google may want to achieve this cloud streaming only future where there's infinite amounts of data and everybody's, just on another level. Everybody's on cloud 9 while they're gaming, and developers are on cloud 9 while they're developing games. That's fine, but it's gonna require you actually getting people interested. And the way you're gonna do that is showing them new games, showing them stuff that looks interesting. So that's the only thing I am actually interested in seeing when it comes to Google Stadia. Obviously, they're in the early phase here, so it's probably going to be a while till we see anything. But if they can show a game from like Jade Raymond's new studio that utilizes all the stuff they're talking about and it just blows people away, it's literally like far beyond anything we've ever seen. Again, sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? Then sure, maybe I'll make a video saying, holy crap, I was wrong. But until I see that, and more importantly, until I like get it in my hands and I know what it's like, and I can actually test it out myself and confirm or deny it's how practical it is and how much people are really going to want to use this, I'm just not seeing it. And you guys know I've been talking a lot about PlayStation recently. I've really been getting into them. And I don't see a future in which Google not only takes over PlayStation and Xbox with cloud gaming to the point where hardware is becoming irrelevant and nobody's playing on their hardware anymore. Nobody's buying consoles anymore. And that's not how people are playing their games because they're all in the cloud because it's cheaper and whatever, and it's so much better. I don't, not only do I not see that happening, but I just don't see Google suddenly producing games or giving developers the ability to easily produce games with unlimited amounts of data and power. Sure, it may be scalable, but still, I don't see Google creating games that match or are better than some of the games that Sony has producing and will be producing, because that's the one thing Sony seems to have that Google just simply doesn't. And this is, I think, another reason why Google maybe bothers me a little bit, is Google they just kind of act like they can just waltz on in, and they're like, they're just the top dog, or they're gonna be like just like that. And I don't like that. Like, I get that they have confidence and everything, but you have to understand, like, the reason why Sony and Nintendo and even Microsoft to an extent, they have a foothold in certain areas. It took time to get there, and it took a lot of trial and error, a lot of trying to figure out which formulas work, which ones don't, what do gamers like, what do gamers not like, and it's still hit or miss. They're still learning. It's ever evolving. But the point I'm trying to get at here is that the reason why gamers love Sony so much is because Sony has been here for many years, and they've been going through the hoops, and they've been kind of putting the time in, and they have the experience, and they kind of have figured out a formula at this point when it comes to their games that people seem to really gravitate towards and love. And they found this formula works very well hand in hand with selling console hardware, which they've been very successful with. Even, Nintendo has been as well. And Microsoft, to an extent, even though they may be struggling, and they have struggled, they're not completely abandoning everything, and they're still doing some stuff. They at least have the understanding that, hey, if you're going to chase this cloud future, at least make hardware. Like, they're still going to make consoles, which, even though to an extent it may be a little bit unnecessary to a lot of people, and there's really no point in them buying an Xbox, at least they're doing that. Google, they just bother me so much because they're not doing any of that, man. Like, they're just like walking in here and they're like, you know what, guys, we're like 20 years in the future right now, and that's our vision. So we're just gonna like announce it now, and hope that it's kind of a joke. I mean, when I don't know how many of you saw that video I made where I put the intro clip of the live demo they did of Stadia, and I think the guy was playing on a tablet, and he had to press the X button, I guess, or the A button, whatever it is on the Google controller, like literally 3 to 4 times before his character responded and actually jumped. And it was like really sad. And it's like, I don't understand how Phil Harrison here and these other Google executives can expect any gamer or anybody to take this seriously, or take what they're saying here seriously about unlimited data and all this stuff. I hate that, man. Like, I just can't stand that. Just be honest. Just let us know. Like, if we're years off from this, just let us know. Don't try to sell people on stuff that's just not going to happen anytime soon. I'm tired of the hyperbolic talk. I understand that that's marketing and that's just the way it is, but man, it gets annoying. It's like when Microsoft was trying to sell us on the cloud, with Crackdown 3. It's like, nobody cares, man. Like, nobody cares. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. Nobody cares. Who is out here today celebrating what Microsoft achieved with the cloud and Crackdown 3? The implications it may have for the future, okay. I'm not saying it's not technology they shouldn't pursue at all. I'm just saying, don't come out here and try to make it sound like it's mind-blowingly insane and it's the next thing and we all got to jump on it right now. I hate that. I cannot stand that. Just be real, be honest. Maybe it's not the best marketing, to the people who have jobs doing this stuff, but still, it's like people appreciate honesty, and people are willing to give you a chance if they see you're trying to do something awesome, and it's, you're not trying to sell them to the point where you may be nowhere near that right now, but give me your money anyway, or be ready to give me your money as soon as possible. Like, I don't like that. I don't know. That's going to do it for the video, guys. I am starting to ramble. I always do this towards the end of my videos. I apologize. But yeah, I think that what Phil Harrison is saying in this article is kind of ridiculous. I mean, no matter how true it may be, it's one of these things where you're going to have to prove it, and good luck. I mean, if you can bring developers on board and they can actually show us games that are using this unlimited amount of data to do things we've never seen before, that can, just completely outclass anything we've seen done on local hardware, by all means, I'm willing to check it out. I'm willing to watch when you're ready to show me. But until that happens, I'm not buying it, man. I'm going to stick to, my PlayStation and my Xbox for now, and next generation, that's probably what I'm going to be sticking to. And whatever's after that, I'm assuming, hopefully in the future, there will still be hardware of some sort, I'm going to stick to that. So yeah, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Be sure to leave the video a like if you did enjoy it or if you agree with what I have to say here. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Feel free to share the video out and make sure you hit the bell notification icon on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.